Welcome to Angels, Positivity, and Love 2024. Thank you so much for being here. This is just a quick reminder to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Your participation helps others see the show, helps others see amazing guests like the one that we have on today. I'll be doing her introduction in just a second. She's super amazing, but just one last housekeeping item. It's been an amazing 2023, 2024 with the show, 50 episodes taped last year. We have guests booked all the way to almost the end of 2024. Coming up in a couple weeks is going to be the physician to the President of the United States back under Bill Clinton. She's amazing. So excited to have her on. We also just have Sandra Ingerman coming up during the summer, Hal Dwoskin, Sedona Method, many other amazing experts to and fro, overseas, domestic, all of them should be super entertaining for you. Again, share this with some friends. Let's get the subscription numbers up. And I really appreciate everyone participating in this, from the guests to people who are just behind the scenes, super supportive, to you, the audience. So thank you very much. Today's guest, oh my gosh, super fortunate to have her, Terri Britt. So many different bits of background, so many hats that she's worn. Her big thing, though, is helping others rediscover their joys, their heart, their unique life path, making sure that they get straightened out and headed in the right direction. She's a former Miss USA in 1982. She was Arkansas's candidate from that other pageant to get into the contest. She's worn, again, so many other hats. Entertainment Channel, being a TV host. She's had a show where she's been the podcast host for quite some time, a radio show, and done that for more than 2 years. She's got 3 books out. One is an ebook. I'm going to mention the 3 books. The Enlightened Mom. It's won many awards, and it's won in particular the New York and San Francisco Book Festival Awards. Check that out. Message Sent, Receiving the Gift of Love, and Women Leaders of Love as well. That would be the third one. She's an author, speaker, healer, and coach. Definitely knows what she's doing, has chosen this path for quite some time, and has dedicated herself to self-improvement, self-love, most importantly, and again, helping others. Terri, welcome to the show. It's great to see you again.
Woohoo! I'm so excited to be here. And I have to tell you, when you were on my show, it's been several years ago, it was so much fun because I love connecting to the other side. I love knowing that I am so loved and protected. It is the greatest gift for my life has been to know that and experience it and to live it daily for now almost 25 years. And so I love what you're doing, and I'm just so grateful to be here.
Oh, well, you were one of the first to give me my big break on air. It was a radio show. It is a radio show. I think I was like episode number 8, but doing it over the radio is a little different when you can't see the audience. Some would be calling in, and I was exhausted afterwards, so I know something happened. I remember having to sleep for like the rest of the day. So someone out there somehow was vibing out and getting to interact directly at their end with Angels. I know that. We put photos up. You were fantastic, and it really gave me some training for what's been, I don't know, like 60 shows since. So
Oh, that's
thank you very
awesome.
much.
Yay.
Okay, talk to us about, when did you first know about even the concept of intuition? Was it during the pageant days? Was it after that? After, you went through a lot with Miss USA, winning it in 1982, and then you had to go through all this emotional roller coaster stuff, which is par for the course for a lot of us on our
Mhm.
paths in life, one way or the other: career, relationships, health. Talk to us a little bit about that balance. First, obstacles, achievement, failure, worry, thinking, extra situations arose. But when did the whole intuition, holistic, there was more to life, love, compassion thing also start to kick in more?
Oh, wow. That was a big shift for me. I remember as a little kid, just to preface this, standing in our driveway. I had to have been 8, 9, and remember feeling that people were watching me from above, but I did not know how to access them. And then I remember around the same time going to a friend's house and sitting on her front lawn because she was across the street. And back then we could cross the street because there was nobody around, right? And I was over there by myself, again around the same age. She wasn't home. And I remember sitting on the front lawn of her house thinking to myself, I am all alone in this world. Okay. So that became my filter, my aloneness. And even though I had a sister and a mom and dad who loved me, I felt alone. I didn't feel connected. I went the church route. I got saved. I didn't feel connected. I always felt like I was different. There was something wrong with me. Why didn't I feel this? And because I wanted to feel the love, I wanted to feel the joy, I wanted to feel that connection, I drove myself thinking, well, I'll win your love. I'll be the best. And that's going to fill me up. I mean, I went after every accolade in school, but nothing made me feel loved. Nothing made me feel connected. And what was interesting is when I was in my second semester of my sophomore year of college, I was talking to a friend about how much I hated school. I had followed my boyfriend to a school that didn't have a broadcasting department, and I wanted to get into broadcasting. And that was my dysfunction. Again, wanting to feel loved, right? I was looking for it outside of myself. I was miserable, tried to put my fist through my boyfriend's window. I mean, it was coming out as anger. I just had a whole lot of emotional chaos. So I was talking to this friend on the phone and I said, I hate school. I don't want to go. And he said, so don't go. I said, well, I have to. His response was, says who? And Michael, in that moment, I think this is the first time I ever felt an intuitive hit. I didn't really know what it was. I felt something wash over me. And I said, I have to leave school. I got off the phone, went to my mom and dad, and I was on scholarship. I mean, I was a straight A student, dean's list, everything. I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Within the week, I had gotten out of my apartment, found somebody to take over, moved home, got a job. And the next thing I know, a Miss Arkansas comes in to where I'm selling shoes. She tells me about the Miss Arkansas pageant. I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll get a break because I kept feeling this intuitive hit to move to Los Angeles. Okay. I didn't know why. I'd never been to Los Angeles. I hear I was from a little town in Arkansas, but I knew I was supposed to go to Los Angeles, right? So I didn't know how to do it. And I thought, well, maybe this pageant will give me that opportunity. Well, it did give me that opportunity because my mom made my dress. I went into Miss Arkansas. I won Miss Arkansas. 2 weeks later, left for Miss USA and won. And the way I won is I had short brown hair, my dress, I mean, I didn't have the clothes like all the other girls did. I was not your typical beauty queen. And Bob Barker said, what do you do in Cabot, Arkansas on a Saturday night? And I said, well, Bob, in my very southern drawl, I said, in the winter we stay at home, but in the summer we go downtown to the Tasty Free, sit on the back of my friend's truck. He plays the banjo and the guys drink a little beer and dip a little skull. It's a real good time. And I won. So that is when I started recognizing a little bit about intuition. But it wasn't until I became a mother that I really needed help. Okay. I'll just say I realized I had anger issues. I realized that I was performing for my family, trying to make everybody feel loved, more loved than I had felt. I wanted, I was just trying to be the best, which is what we mamas do, right? We want our children and our families to feel loved. But instead, as I suppressed myself, I'd find myself getting angry. I would blow up. I was controlling. So my dad died in 95, and I realized that I was a lot like him. And I said, I've got to stop this. And I got into therapy. Well, my therapist said, you need to get into meditation. You're wound really tight. Thank goodness that she was so clear and told me so clearly that this is what you need, because I listened. And as soon as I listened, all of a sudden, I'm meeting a girl who's going to a psychic school to take meditation class, and I'm invited to go along. Well, the first night in class, we're running energy, we're clearing our energy, and all of a sudden I see a spirit at the back of the room. I'm in shock, okay, because this was unique for me. And the teacher looks at me, she goes, Terry, you look like you've just seen a ghost. I said, I think I have. And it and it wasn't like it was a full body, it was more like a silhouette, but I could tell he had a beard. And he moved up right next to her and she goes, oh yeah, he's right here. He's the founder of this school. He's always hanging out here. So that's when I knew that, oh, there's something there. There is
Was this
something
in
going
Santa
on.
Monica?
Yes, I was taking, well, actually, this particular class was at the Psychic Institute, the Southern California Psychic Institute in Anaheim.
Okay.
So I was there. So I was so intrigued, right? And I mean, for the first time in my life, I'm starting to feel calm and peaceful because I'm running energy, I'm clearing my energy, I'm opening up to, higher information. And then from there, I went to the healing classes and just loved it, just moving energy. Well, then my girlfriend and I moved to a school in Santa Monica called Clearsight, and I did their 13-month program of watching energy, reading energy. But I will say this: one thing that hit me at the Southern California Psychic Institute was in the healing class. I'll never forget it. We are being invited to connect to our healing masters, to plug into our hands. And so my eyes are closed and I see this, what looks like a man in a tux, come in front of me. And I'm just watching him. He's dancing. He is crazy. I mean, crazy funny. I am laughing my butt off watching him. And I'm going, okay, you're my healing master. Okay. And because they didn't talk about angels, they just talked about healing masters. Well, then the teacher says, ask what your healing master's name is. The word I got was Michael. I'm like, okay, what's another Michael? I've got an Uncle Mike, an Uncle Mikey. I got a Micah as a cousin. I mean, what's one more? And not even thinking about Michael the Archangel, because one, we weren't talking about angels. I didn't get raised believing in angels. I didn't, or talking about them. It was just not a part of my conversation. And my girlfriend that I was studying with, she was Catholic. Well, at this time was when the movie Michael came out with John Travolta. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, him and Andy McDowell. He's crazy in this movie, right? And I went, oh my gosh. And she says, don't you find it interesting that your healing master is Michael and the way you described him? And at that point, I had seen the movie Michael 4 times. Okay. Now, I've never done that in my life with any movie. Maybe The Holiday now because it's my favorite Christmas movie. But at that time I had never seen a movie more than twice. And when she said that, I went, "Oh my gosh." And it hit me that, I've been working with Michael the Archangel. Well, he became my best friend. He it was We had this running joke that I'd be driving the car, and for a while I'd see him in the passenger seat, but then at times if I had like a longer journey, he'd be on the front hood and he'd be go, forward ho, it would just be this funny relationship that I felt so loved. And you talked about my book, Message Sent. And Message Sent, the way it came about is I was meditating on unconditional love, self-love. Well, little Terri showed up and I was told, get up and write this. This is the beginning of your book, because I was sobbing and I realized I had never acknowledged her. I believe it was right before that Michael came to me in a vision. He picks me up. He puts me in a small swimming pool. He takes out this contract and he says, read it. Now, that day, at that time, I was always doing psychic readings and I would tape them for people, little cassette tapes. This was back in the 90s, right? So I would always tape for people, but I never taped my meditations. That morning, I had been told when I sat down to meditate, tape this. So I said, okay. Well, when in the vision, he picks me up and sits me down in this swimming pool, little bitty kid pool, and then hands me this contract. He says, open it and read it. And it says, I am a spiritual warrior. I stand for truth and integrity. I stand from living from my heart and what I believe. No other person's judgment shall hurt me, for God is my authority. This is who I am. And he made me sign it. That poem is at the beginning of Message Sent, which is my journey of awakening. It was just a bunch of stories, like a chicken soup for the soul, of me seeing the outer world as a gift to go within and heal my life. So he was so instrumental in getting me on my path of courage to stand in my truth, to love myself, that it has been the most magical journey. And I mean, I could go on and on. I know you have questions, but that's how I got to start using my intuition, start paying attention, was as I went to a psychic school and then I studied becoming an intuitive healer for, a couple of years. And then I've been practicing it since the 90s.
Ooh, and how do you describe how you work, or how it's evolved over time? Because it was probably one way in the 80s or 90s, but it's shifted or at least grown, or at least in some areas, it's probably, expanded in some form or fashion. When people grab you today, it's one way maybe. How was it when you first started out? And again, how has it evolved?
Well, the way we were trained at Clearsight is when you're looking at someone's energy, you would see a rose and you'd see the thorns and all this stuff, and you'd peel. It was all this stuff. And it was fine, and people would say to me, "Oh my gosh, I've been in counseling for 9 to 10 years, and you just got to the bottom of it in one session." So that was pretty, amazing for me because I didn't know I could do that. I'd always ever been everybody's dear Abby growing up. Even my mother said I became the mother at 7 years old, which is not necessarily a good thing, but that's how I was. Over where I read now is I just look at people's energy, and when I'm coaching people to tap into their own gifts of connecting, is I introduce them to their inner child, and I introduce them to their guides,
Mm.
so that and I think of it as my own little holy trinity. It's me, my inner child, and these representatives of God, the all-loving force of the universe, right? So I call it my own little holy trinity. It may be blasphemous to some people, but to me it works, right? And when I'm reading people, like last night, I was in my divine level, which is a monthly subscription that I do, and it's just a very small group. But we do a meditation, and then I open up and we go through and talk about what did you experience. But inevitably, someone will say, "Look at my energy. Can you see where the block is? Because I'm not seeing it." And I see this backpack on this woman that she's studying too hard of what she's trying to do. And instead, she needs to listen to her feelings. She needs to get into the space of feeling rather than here. And she laughed at me and she goes, "You don't even know me," because she's new to the group. She says, "But it's amazing to me how you'll get a message that is just exactly what I do." She goes, "I study too much. I'm so, in my head about thinking." And so now that's the way I use it is like, let's look at the blocks. And then if we feel guided to bring in the guides, because my guides are always with me. I'm like, when I sit down to do a reading with someone or a healing session or coaching or whatever, I call in my inner child and she sits on my lap so she knows that she's loved. I call in my guides, they surround me. And then I just open up my sixth chakra. I clear my energy. I clear all the energy up into the higher sources, to the source of energy, so that I am fully in my body and coming from a space of neutrality. And here's one of the things that I had to get okay with as an intuitive is when I first started reading people, I would say to them, "Listen, I'm human and I might make a mistake here reading you. So if I make a mistake and it does not resonate for you, just tell me. I'm learning and growing and I accept my humanness. So you please let me know." And I think giving myself that permission to be human and not be perfect has allowed the channel to open up that much more.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, more allowing, less knowing or trying.
Yeah, no, yeah, and less trying to prove my worth.
Yeah.
Because it always, if I'm trying and pushing, I'm trying to prove something. So now I really try to come from a space of neutrality of we're in this together. If you've come into my space, I'm going to learn from you. You're going to learn from me. We're in spiritual agreement to be here. I look at agreements a lot. And why are we here? Why are we working through this? And that has been very comforting. When we're having issues with people in our lives, we get caught in the 3D rather than what's the spiritual agreement.
Hmm.
Well, let me look at this intuitively and see what are we working through here so I can receive the gift from you and you can receive the gift from me. And I love that because it takes out all the other crap.
Out of your cheerleading, healing, teacher squad who's supporting you and helping you with everything, are there just different figures that step forward for different folks that you're helping? Is it usually one helper who comes forward first? It just depends on the situation. How's it usually work?
So it's interesting because when I'm just doing a session with someone, I don't feel like they're coming in like that. I'm just getting information. Where I notice the biggest connection as far as conversation is when I sit down in my daily meditation. and I'll start with a gratitude, and all of a sudden I'll hear Christ come in. And I get a lot of my intuitive information from my guides through writing. Okay. I mean, I get a lot of it, we just from reading, but I love writing. It's like a passion of mine. So Christ comes in and he'll say, "Dear sister."
Hmm.
Okay. And then Mother Mary comes in and she says, "Dear child." And I discern them. And then recently Mary Magdalene came in. And because I thought it was Mary at first, and then she says, "Dear sister in Christ." And I was like, "Who is this?" And she said, "Mary Magdalene." And it was interesting because I was having an issue around, because I really believe I'm here to help raise the consciousness of Christians, because that was my path. And I understand this, the fear and the programming we've taken on to release it, to know that there is an amazing way to experience God, right? And I want that for people because I see people hurting. So when Mary Magdalene came in, because I was like, "Well, I don't know the Bible. I don't know." I mean, I've had people with Bible stuff come at me, and I used to feel attacked, and I hid for a long time because it was like, oh, because a past life was coming up about being burned at the stake, and it was just a whole lot of stuff going on. And Mary Magdalene was so cool. She says, "Now, do you think Christ really knew the Bible at that time? Because there was really no New Testament. It didn't exist." And I was like, "Oh, he was just channeling truth. He was just channeling wisdom and love." And that was very comforting to me, because it wasn't about following some book that you had to follow. It was literally about he was in oneness and channeling and bringing truth and love forth, and which was asking each of us to do the same, is what I believe is, you have to, the way you do that is love yourself, get out of the emotional context of the head of saying, "I have to win your love," and instead be so in alignment with, "I am loved inside of myself, and I am so loved and protected from the divine by my guides that I don't have to perform out here anymore." So it was pretty cool when Mary Magdalene came in. I was like, "Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for showing up." So those three come in regularly. Michael has not been as much lately. I mean, I know he's here. When I wrote Women Leaders of Love, I could feel this intuitive hit that this booklet was coming up. And I call it a toilet bowl read, meaning you can sit on the toilet and read it, in one sitting. People go, "What?" I mean, it's very short. It's like 20
Agreed.
pages.
Yeah.
It's very short. But I had tried to write it and it wasn't working. And then the next day I was sitting in my living room and I saw a flash of light over in the corner, a little purple flame kind of pop up. And I went, "Who's here?" And I felt Michael. He said, "Now it's time to write this book. Let's go do it." I came upstairs into my office. I started writing it. That book was written and edited and completely put in full format within a week.
Mm.
And I remember sending it to this company out of Canada called Scribendi, and you don't know who the editor is, you just send it to them. And they have a number. I didn't even know if it was a man or a woman. But my sense was it was a woman, and she wrote me back and she says, "Every woman on the planet needs to read this book."
Oh,
And it's 20 pages,
yeah.
maybe 20 pages. I'm not even sure. It's real short.
And we should mention your website, www.terri, T-E-R-I, Britt,
No, two
B-R-I.
R's, two
Oh,
R's.
yeah, T-E-R-R-I, Britt, Britt.com.
Yeah.
And you were Terri Utley when you won the Miss USA in 1982.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
okay, tell us, either take us in one of two directions here. Take us in the direction of remember, I'm sorry, was it the E Network? I'm blanking on the entertainment side. You had a role there. And then later you've been interviewed on like the Today Show, NBC New York, basically just all over Fox News, stuff like that. And those are probably a little bit later.
Yeah.
Can you share with us just how that ended up contributing to your strengths today and how you help others? Or how do you view it as, was it a stepping stone from your past into the healing role? How do you phrase it all?
Well, as far as the television, I always felt like I was supposed to be on camera. And I felt like I loved performing. I loved doing that kind of work. I thought I was going to be, my dad used to say, "You're gonna be the next," what was her name? It was a former Miss America, and it wasn't about the pageant. She'd become a sports broadcaster because I was in sports when I was in school. So I thought I was gonna do that. When I ended up in television, it was it was wonderful. I mean, I loved what I was doing. I got to what's now the E channel. It was called Movie Time back then. I got to cover the Cannes Film Festival and the Academy Awards, and but I thought it was going to fill me up. And what I really look back on it now is I wanted to be seen. And but I really wanted to be seen by myself. I wanted to see me. And I was looking for other people to see me. Like in the moment of winning Miss USA, I felt empty.
Mm.
Okay. So it was almost like that was the last leg of that journey of feeling like I need to be seen. I want people to fill me up because I learned that it didn't. What is beautiful now about that whole experience of working in television is doing this kind of stuff, having my radio show that I had for several years. It's been a no-brainer, going on NBC, going on, whatever. I go on there and I'm at ease. It's like home to me. So even though I didn't work in the television industry a long time, it was a beautiful gift. The other thing I got is for a period, 1 year of that time, worked in Sacramento at the NBC affiliate. I started out on the desk. I was bottom, like on the bottom. And then I ended up writing for news and then producing. Then they had a big layoff, and this was before E. They had a big layoff, and I came back to Los Angeles, and I had to get in touch with myself and go, okay, do I want to work in news? Because I was offered the 6 and 10 p.m. 5 nights a week in Monterey, which is not a huge market, but it's very visible because LA people go up there. I turned it down because at the same time I was doing Mazda. I was the Mazda spokeswoman, and it was so lucrative, and I had to really look at myself and go, do I want to continue to do hard news? Because I was having nightmares.
Oh,
I was bringing it home.
yeah.
So it was a journey of getting in touch with me and what I wanted. But I remember when I started having my kids, I left everything. Well, after I had my second baby, I went back to my agent, big agent in Los Angeles. So I'm back, spent tons of money on new pictures. My first audition, I got a gig. Second audition, I didn't. The third audition, I'm sitting in my garage riding my bike in Manhattan Beach, California. I get a call from my agent saying, you need to be at this audition in North Hollywood, at least an hour's drive at 3 o'clock. And to get your copy, your sides, or whatever they're called now. And I'm sitting there going, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? My life is amazing. I mean, I was in our garage, but I had a 7,000 square foot house, a 50-foot sport fisher. I traveled everywhere with my husband. I had help with my kids. I mean, why was I doing it, right? And my intuition said, you're done. And that's when I left television for good.
Oof.
I said, I'm done. Yeah. Now, interestingly, since then, I've had people talk to me about doing a spiritual TV show.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget, this is a really funny story. So I was invited to come in, and they were going to call it a spiritual view. It's going to be much like The View, only a spiritual view. Doreen Virtue, who's now not in this world doing this work anymore, but she was back then. And so her agent had said she doesn't want to do it anymore. Will you go do it? And it was Sonia Choquette, who's a big psychic, and a couple of other people. But the producer, and this was early on, okay? This was like in 2000. And the producer calls me into his office and he says, read me. And I'm like, oh, crap.
Uh,
I said, okay. And I'm reading him, and I see he and his wife are at odds. I see them in bed. I see their backs are to each other and they're ticked at each other. And then I see this tree on their land, and that the fight is over a tree house being built. It was the weirdest thing, Michael. And I looked at him and I said, you just need to build the tree house. And he's like, I'm not building the damn tree house. I mean, he was so like And it turns out that, and I was like, because this tree was massive, and I lived in, Los Angeles. You didn't see these massive trees. It turns
Yeah.
out they lived over in the valley, and which has trees, a lot more trees than where we were. And this was a bone of contention for them, that she wanted him to build a tree house for the kids. He didn't want to hurt the tree, and it was creating major havoc in their lives. So that was like, it was nerve-wracking, but it was kind of cool because I'll never forget that, because it was such a stressful situation to have to be put, to be put on the, like, you got to read me right now. I'm going, okay, what am I going to, okay.
You can't make that up. And for the audience, just remember, build the treehouse when in doubt. Okay.
Exactly. And it's so
Okay.
funny. So anyway, so now I use my intuition just to, I've used all of those things. The television has helped me. It builds confidence, obviously, when you're doing TV. But even before then, when I won Miss USA as a little girl from Arkansas, 4,000 people in my town, and I was sent into the Oval Office, just a short time after I won Miss USA. I remember I've got pictures of President Reagan and I just laughing. My crown almost fell off. I'm catching it. We're laughing. And so I never felt the sense of anyone was above me or below me. I've never felt that. It can be a homeless person on the street. I think one of the gifts that my parents raised me, and just the way I think I came in, is that we are all equal and we are all worthy. I had to learn, and you talked about what I teach now. I really teach about people owning their worthiness to clean
Mm,
out the emotional chaos so they can tap into their intuition. Because when I wasn't listening to my intuition, it was because I was giving my power to other people. And when you give your power to other people and you're always concerned about what someone's thinking, or you're trying to win their love, you're not coming from a state of worthiness. You're coming from what I call a low worthiness quotient. So that is where my work is now, and where I feel like all this stuff just adds up.
mm.
It just comes together and creates my own little story.
Well, that
My
was
all my
exactly
pieces of my puzzle.
that was the next question, which was, each person's on their unique life path. They're facing obstacles or what we could call opportunities for growth to be here more. Can you go just a little bigger picture about how each human comes in, whether it's as a child, young adult, or
Mhm.
adulting? Um, can you remind us how simple it can be if we would just, ease off the accelerator up here, the thinking, and just breathe more, be here more? Can you get back to that again, that bigger picture of walking a smoother path?
Absolutely, and I think it's so important. Most of us are living in emotional chaos. We watched our parents, most of us, not all of us, but most of us watched our parents deny themselves
Hmm.
and thinking that this is what I have to do for my family. If you're just from the typical family, right now, some parents were in their chaos, as far as drinking and addiction and stuff like that. And again, that's where they feel like they have to perform. And so they're burying their feelings. But we watch our parents not receive, not feel connected. Okay. Because everybody's performing for your partner, for your kids. And so as children, we learn early on to disconnect.
Hmm.
I mean, think about it. We come in as babies and we're connected. That's why children will see things up until they're like 5 years old, and they'll see the other side. They'll have experiences of past lives, and then it quickly goes away, because as parents, if we're not in that connected state, our children are watching us. We are the role models. And then next thing you know, we start recognizing our mortality as little kids, and we start getting in survival even more so. Uh, we take on beliefs. I look at us as sponges. I mean, I believe that we each come in with things to learn. I believe that, yes, a lot of stuff with my mother made me feel unworthy, but at the same time, I believe that was the contract I had with her, to come in and have that experience. And but we're not taught that. We're taught, "Oh, you did this to me," instead of going, "Wow, what's our spiritual agreement?"
Mhm.
Right? What are we learning from each other? So what happens is, for me, is that then it goes into more emotional chaos, more suppressing your light, more performing. I mean, we look at back pain in our world, and back pain is performing. It is fear. It is lack. It is like I have to suppress my light, which is our second chakra, right there below the belly button and goes in the back. I have to suppress my light so others can thrive. I have to suffer. And so we do this over and over again, and it creates more and more emotional chaos. Well, should I do this? Should I do that? How I need to do this. I need to work harder. And one of the things that I've recognized, what I call it my worthiness quotient, is when we're doing all this performing, we stay in emotional chaos, but energetically, we're sending out a vibration that who I am is not enough.
Mm.
We're coming from guilt and shame. Well, whatever energy you're sending out is what you're going to attract to you, right? So in our performance, we feel like life is hard. We feel like, oh, I've got to keep doing it this way. And if I work harder, if I do more, then abundance will show up. But that's not what we're doing. The harder we work, the more guilt we're showing, the more shame we're revealing. So it just keeps being perpetuated over and over and over again. So it is in the decision that we say, I am no longer performing. I am going to learn to love myself. I'm going to perform for myself. Okay. That's the performance you want. I'm going to do it here and not even performing for God. Because one of the things that I recognized in myself in my journey is, especially coming from a religious background, is that I was performing for God, that I believed I had to be good. I had to be, I had to suffer because, in religion, Christ suffered. I was raised Christian. Christ suffered. So that's love. No, it's not. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to suffer to be loving. If we thrive is when we're the most loving. And so, for me, as I started giving myself permission to stop performing, what happened for me energetically was I became the divine mother to little Terri. And then it was continued to access my guides. And through this, my own little universal divinity, my own little space, I started feeling peaceful. I started feeling joyful. I really started listening to my intuition because what was happening is as I did this, the emotional chaos was slipping away. And as the emotional chaos slipped away, then I became more intuitive. I became more connected. I became more solid in my truth. So now I have what I feel is more joy and peace and abundance than I would have ever imagined. And what's interesting about that is that I've seen abundance show up as a mirror because as I've raised my worthiness quotient, my outer world is mirroring my inner world. And I remember I used to get upset with my husband because I always felt like we were a blended family. We were both, my late husband died, the father of my children. My husband now, his wife killed herself, and he has one daughter. So he was very overprotective because of suicide, right? And understandably so. But there was a period of time where I felt like, you're always protecting your daughter instead of helping her grow. And a lot of times it was at my expense.
Mm.
So it created a lot of dissension between us. But when I had the realization one day that you are not my protector, God is my protector. These guides are my protector. I am the protector to my inner child. Everything shifted. Everything shifted. I no longer felt like I needed to perform for him. He had a big shift in consciousness around his daughter. It was like our spiritual agreement came to fruition. It was like I shifted, he shifted, our relationship got better. His relationship with his daughter got healthier, and it changed everything because I was willing to say, I'm going to allow God to protect me. And when I say God, I'm really talking about the universal energy of love and my guides. They are God's representatives, is the way I look at it. And, everybody may have a different feeling about that, but that's my experience, right? And so when I started recognizing that at any moment I can tap in and feel loved and connected, and now that loved and connection, because I've been walking this path for 20 something years, um, it's a day to day. It feels really good. There are days that I don't meditate. I may have something going on, but I can just be standing in the shower and say, hello, hi guys, I love you. Thank you for being here and watching over me, and pick up little Terri in my arms and say, I love you. I got your back today, and I'm good. And that's a wonderful place to be. And I guess where my mission is now is that what if we all did that? What if we all took responsibility and said, I'm going to see my outer world as a mirror to my inner world. And if chaos is happening, then I'm going to look at as what's going on inside of me. What is the belief that is creating this mirror? And I'm going to own my worth. I'm going to give myself permission to stand in my truth. I'm going to commit to loving myself. I'm going to stand in my truth. I'm going to listen to my intuition and take inspired action, which means from spirit. And by doing that, I'm going to create balance. I'm not going to be on the hamster wheel anymore. I'm going to feel peaceful. I'm going to feel joyful. And if we all did that, I believe that we would know that there's enough for everyone.
Mm.
I believe that we would end competition, except for a good game of cards, you know? Gotta have that competition and a good game of cards. But because I know I used to be really competitive. I was competing with everyone to, I wanted to be the best to prove my worth. And I don't feel a competitive bone in my body until my ego shows up every now and then and it's like, oh, hi, I see what's going on, what's hurting. And then it can just go away again.
What are some of the ways people can kind of check in, take stock of where they're at? Are they up in their head? Are they in their heart? This is daily. Do you have routines, exercises, mindfulness steps people can do to both check in and maybe a little extra, how to drop into their heart more? What do you
Mhm.
usually recommend to folks?
Well, first off, get grounded every single day. Clear your energy.
How?
Absolutely. That is key. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling funky, the rest of the day is going to be funky. So I have my little space. I go sit in my chair. I turn on some frequencies on my computer, and I just allow myself to clear out the energy, to allow the light to flood in, and I say hello to my inner child because I know a lot of times that if I'm reacting negatively or in fear, it's her. And so I need to be what I call the woman leader of love, the divine mother to her, and swoop in and love her. Because when we're reacting to the outer world, it's usually from our triggers from childhood. And so that little kid is what she was shown to me. I mean, because I didn't ask to see her, she just showed up in meditation one day. Um, when I love her and console her and I see her, I hear her, and I listen and take action, what she sees is I am worthy of being loved. I'm worthy of being protected. I'm worthy of being nurtured. I'm worthy of being heard and valued. And so, in that action alone, I have created a foundation of, yeah, I got this. I can face my day with joy and connectedness. I can ask my guides anything. So that goes without saying. Okay. So if you have that, start your day with that. That is a number one. A girlfriend of mine she's been doing this work with me for a long time, but that's what her practice is daily. She goes, with me getting grounded, because she was working more fully and now she's taking a little bit more time off. And she says, I am grounding every single day and getting connected. And she just feels the joy exploding from her because of that connection. We're craving that, right?
Mm.
So that's number one. Number two is I pay attention to my feelings. If I'm in my head space, your thoughts create your feelings, right? So if you're in your thoughts and you may not even realize it, but you're feeling agitated, or you feel sad, or you feel like you're just like in the doldrums. I always check in with my thoughts. Or maybe you're not connected to your feelings and you can go straight to your thoughts. Are they negative? Are they spinning out of control? Well, that just says, oh, something's really hurting. Something's really hurting inside of me. I meet it with compassion. Okay. Instead of judging it, I know that that little girl inside of me is hurting. So I turn to her, I pick her up and say, what's hurting? What is the belief that is causing you to suffer right now? And once I can get to the belief, and sometimes it takes me back into childhood to maybe something happened, and I'll look at that little girl and say, what's the belief you took on in that moment? Because if it's causing you pain and suffering, it's not the truth. So I let myself go back there with my feelings, go back and release it. If I need a good cry, whatever it is, and then do some journaling. And for me, journaling is key. And then I'll ask little Terri, what do you need from me to feel loved right now? And as I take that inspired action, it's like that whole situation that just happened where I was triggered, It's an amazing gift. And that's one of the key things I do too is to get out of victim mentality. Because when we get in victim mentality, we go in that rabbit hole. Is as soon as I feel triggered by something and I recognize it, instead of going, you did this, you did that, you did da 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 da, I start saying thank you for the gift. Because I know if I'm triggered that I am living by a belief that is not my truth. I am holding on to energy that is not my truth. And so my goal is to be the researcher and to do my little detective work and to go down and allow myself to go deep into my being to see what is that false belief, to release it, and then to stand in my truth. Those are the things I live by. Those are the things. If I don't have a moment to look at something, I will a lot of times surrender it to my guides and say, I'll have a vision of what I want it to feel like on the other side. I'll set my intention and say, I really need some support with this. I can't get there right now. And I'm just going to trust that it's showing up for a reason. Thank you for the gift. I am so grateful. I ask for you to hold me in this space, show me gentle signs of whatever it is I need to look at. And then I just stay in awareness. So that's how I live my day to day life. And that's how I coach people to live day to day and teaching them how to really, in essence, own their worth so that they are connected and that they use these tools on a regular basis and it's not just sporadic.
Okay, so for the audience watching, or pretend you had a little group of 10 that had suddenly, we surprised you with a group of 10 and a third camera angle came in. Can we rephrase it a little so that if it's before bed, when they first wake up in the morning, or the kitchen table and they've left a legal pad and pen out, can you pick one of these scenarios before bed, when they wake up in the morning or the kitchen table, if they can pay attention and remember what Terri told them here on the show today? Can you actually give the audience instructions on one specific exercise and take them through it again? It could be any type of exercise, a release, taking a breath, something that's, your assured and tried and true method of blank. And just, if you don't mind repeating it, but so that if they're sitting there ready to write something down step by step. She said, step number 1 is this, step number 2 is that. Can you take us through one of those again?
Sure. So, which one is most important to this audience? I'm getting connected. Okay. So to get connected, one, you have to take a moment for yourself. Okay. And first thing is you want to start breathing slowly. Well, I like to breathe through the nose and hold it and then release very slowly. So this starts calming down your system. Then I like to visualize my crown chakra, which is where we connect. I like to visual like the old camera lenses where you go, you hit the button and it goes poof like this.
Mhm.
So I go poof and my crown opens up. So open up your crown. And then as you sit there and you're breathing, I like to give gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for this healing that is happening. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the love. So your next step would be gratitude. And as I'm doing that, I would start calling in the light of God, the light of love. Maybe you're wanting to experience joy, so you bring in the light of joy. Kind of, like when we look at something like, wow, I want to have that in my life. The light of passion, the light of abundance, whatever it is, I call in that light. What is it that I'm wanting to experience? And I allow it to flood into my face, moving into my throat and my arms and down into my hands. And I imagine releasing all of the energy out of the palms of my hands and my fingertips so that it's dumping out. And I like to see it just going down under my feet to begin with. And then I continue this light on down and imagine that it's opening up every cell of my body. Every cell is opening to this light that I'm calling in. As I continue to breathe, I'm settling my system even more. I'm feeling more and more connected. Allow it go down my feet, and then I allow underneath the balls of my feet to release any energy. Well, then I imagine, and this is just grounding, okay? So just think of it as grounding. But I imagine I'm so full of this light now that it fills up my aura because we have this energy field around us. And I like to extend my aura out beyond my arms, like beyond my fingertips. You can go as big as you want, but I feel like, it's always comfortable just about 10 inches, a foot away. and just see my energy field filling up with this light and anything that is dark dumping down underneath my feet. And I do the same thing on the outer edges. Okay, so it's not just the inside, it's the outside as well. And then as it gets down to the bottom of the feet, I visualize opening up the bottom of the aura and I send everything down a column of light. This is the grounding cord. And I send it to the earth knowing that it's being transmuted. Well, here now I've made a connection within myself. I've made a connection to the higher points of the universe. The next thing I do is I pull up little Terri. Hey, I got you. I talk to the inner child. I love you. How are you doing today? What do you need from me? I just have a conversation, just like if you had a kid, right? I am that divine parent. And then I call in my guides. Hey, guides, how are you? And I have whatever conversation there is needed. And I might ask if there's something that's going on for the day, I might ask, can you give me some divine guidance? What are my first steps? And my thing is, what I usually get is I have too big of a to-do list, and they'll chop it down. Okay. I remember used to, I'd have this huge to-do list of things I got to get done, and it would just made my life so crazy. And I'm like, what's my to-do list today? And there might be 2 things on it. I'm like, really? Really? Just 2 things? But if I trusted it, which I learned to do over time, then it was like my life flowed a lot better. And because I wasn't in the chaos and moving so quickly, I could pay attention and listen more to my intuition. So for me, that connection has been key to everything. That creating your own divine, as I said, my own little holy trinity. I think that's what I would say to people is that, create your holy trinity, get grounded, creating that connection, talking to the inner child, talk to your guides, and then go throughout your day with inspired action rather than from your head.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, if there was a mantra, if this is something that everybody, it's a removable tattoo, by the way, so not a permanent tattoo. What's the one tattoo people should consider, or 3, just reminders, daily living reminders, breathe more. This too shall pass, something like that. What are some of your favorite reminders that, we all forget no matter how much we try? What are some of your favorite sayings?
I think for me, when I honor and love the way, this may be too long. As I honor and love the way I was created, I put God first.
Yeah, that's a big tattoo. That would go all the way over, but they're removable, so we're okay. Okay, what's another one?
Um,
But let's go shorter so that, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I am worthy.
Ooh, that's a good one. And one more time, is there another way to say I am worthy that just lets people even roar more? Is there another way to flip that pancake and say it even another way? Like live more, love more, don't look back? What's another way to say I am worthy?
Let me
I bet
think.
no one's
Hold on.
asked you that.
Let me ask my guides on
Ooh,
this.
good. Yes.
I am divine.
There you go. Beautiful. And are you ready for some sage smoke? I do this every show. I light some sage, blow it. We did this
Sure.
before the show. But people who haven't done this, no big deal. You could be watching, it's 2025, 2028. You're in Berlin. It doesn't matter. Indonesia. Just give yourself permission to let go. It's what Terry's been telling you. Go with the flow. Learn to trust. I'm about to point to the wrong spot. It's okay to trust this, but trust this even more so that the two combine and you're one with everything, one with the universe.
Yeah.
A hot dog, what was that? One with all, something like that. There's a hot dog dad joke out there.
Yeah. I don't know. Ask my husband about the hot dog joke. I don't know.
Make it one with all or something like that. There's a Buddhist hot dog dad joke out there. Okay, I'm lighting some sage. You can catch the smoke. Some people start to taste it on their mouth energetically as I light it. And I take a red-tailed hawk feather and I just blow out this. And you're in Georgia right now. I'm in Texas. And I'm just wafting you some sage smoke. And, it could be linear or you could allow for more. Ask your angels, ask the universe, ask your guides, your loved ones, your cheerleading squad to help you bring flowers in. So sage and flowers.
Mm.
You want ocean, ask for ocean. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's, I think, one of the basics for Terry saying, allow more, love more, let a little more life and universe come in and help.
Yeah.
What do you?
I'm seeing a beautiful meadow.
Oh, good.
This
And
I
I'm
can feel
gonna
it.
snub this out, but I wanted to ask about light. Do you see auras on people once a year when you want to turn it on? All your life, every 2 years? How's it work when you're doing what you do, or you accidentally slip up? You see the dog running at you, and you've got rainbow light all over the dog. It's wagging its tail. You're like, "Yay!" How's it work for seeing light versus the feeling it, or versus the mind's eye, eyes shut seeing for you?
Well, first off, I have an agreement with soul, with God, with the universe that I am not going to go around reading people all the time.
Yeah.
And that because it's too much. And so what I do is if I find myself in conversation with someone and all of a sudden I get a vision, then I know that it's time for me to share it with them.
Okay.
And because otherwise I'm not going around reading. It's just too much. It's like I want to live my life and enjoy my life. And I don't, it's like, huh, I'm always reading people. So I've kind of made an agreement with that. As far as auras, I look the way I see things is not just looking at someone's aura. Now, if someone says, "Well, you look at my aura," I absolutely can look at their aura. That's not how I go around reading. When I do read, it is I get visions. I mean, there's like downloads coming in, and I just share those downloads. I share what I'm getting and the wisdom that goes with it, because there's always wisdom. It's not just a picture. It's okay, this blockage is happening and da 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 da. And so it's guidance and some and then or a question to help them get to it, just depending on where they are, right? So I don't go around reading auras. It is more I just invite the universe to use me where I'm being guided to. I can be standing in a grocery store line and start talking to someone and all of a sudden get an intuitive hit. And next thing I know, the person's crying.
Mhm.
So we have a coffee house, a big venue here in the North Georgia mountains called Jumping Goat, 7.5 acres. We do music on the weekends, big event place. So I'm down there on the weekends some, and I'll start talking to people. And the other day I was talking to this girl and I said, "How are you?" She was just sitting by herself, and I kind of squatted down. Next thing I know, she's telling me her whole life story. And I can see what's going on for her. I don't remember what all the conversation was. I try to clear it when I'm done because otherwise I'd be carrying everybody's
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But she thanked me and said, "I needed to be here today. I needed to have this conversation." So I feel like I'm anchoring the light here, and that when people come into my space, I'm open and receptive, and I just allow that to happen. So that's the way I work.
Cool. And now, if you just go for a walk and it's summertime, it's comfortable, it's not too hot, not too cold, and you looked over at a tree and saw an aura on the tree, how about that? Let's go non-people, non-putting you to
Mhm.
work, anything like that. Or back to a dog example, like your favorite dog. Do you accidentally see auras once in a while, or you're like, you just settle into the moment? You're sitting in a chair, looking at your landscape. Does it creep in once in a while, or you'll catch a little bit of light moving around. It'll be one of your guides saying hi. Talk to us a little bit about on the totally fun, light, no pun intended side.
Well, I love looking at plants and I love seeing the energy around them. I see that with trees. I do have a little fun little story. I was with a group of women just for fun over at a friend's house. She's actually a healer. Her land is very sacred, and she has this tree that's in a vortex. It goes
Ooh.
like this.
Yep.
So this group of women and I were walking, and again, I knew none of them. I did not know any of their stories other than just was getting to know this woman. I was invited to join them. And I just went up to the tree and I'm like, "Hey, what's happening? What do you want me to know?" And I heard, "Tell so and so that it's time to open her healing clinic." And I go over to her and I said, "Are you a healer?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Have you been thinking about opening a healing clinic?" And she goes, "For about 17 years." And so I know you say, because for me, I know you're caught up in the auras, but for me, it's like, yeah, I can see energy. I remember when Celestine Prophecy came out. What was that, back in the 90s or early 2000s? I don't remember when that was. And he was talking about seeing the plants and seeing the auras
And
around
they
them and
in the
everything.
movie
And
they do it this way. In India they do it this way, and you can see the light or
yeah,
on the plants too.
yeah. And so for me, I would go up and I would look at them and I would see the energy, but it's not something that I go, Oh, wow, I just saw an aura. It's not important to me. What is important to me is that I see what I'm being guided to see by guides, what wherever I'm being used for. And then when I walk in nature all the time, I live in the mountains of Georgia. And so I'm always walking in the woods. What I love and what I see, and I had this happen, I live on top of a mountain. And this is a very sacred mountain. It's called Yona, which means bear in Cherokee, and the bear is the subconscious mind, or the unconscious. I'm walking, and all of a sudden, I just feel all of these Indians standing down the road because it was a gravel road, and I was walking, and they're all there just holding the space for me to walk. And then I see this wolf come up next to me,
Mm,
and I asked his name, and he said, Coda. And so I walked with these Indian guides and this wolf, and just felt, oh my gosh, they're amazing to feel the energy here. So to me, it is more of a feeling. To me, it is more of a seeing. But it's not so much about seeing someone's aura. I like, for instance, if somebody's carrying heaviness and their aura, I'll see it as a backpack.
yep.
Okay. Like a backpack of what's causing the darkness in their aura. So instead of focusing on the aura, I just get a vision,
Yep.
right? And it's so often it is like, okay, this person's got a backpack. Let's see what's in the backpack. And I pull out what's in the backpack. I'm like, oh, this is what they're carrying. This is what's making them feel heavy.
I love
So
it.
that's how I see it. Yeah.
Are you ready to do two angels like Joy and Audrey Hepburn and maybe two Native American chiefs if it's okay? I'll put photos up. This is what we do most of the time on the show. Joy and I said Audrey Hepburn. So the angel named Joy, emotion Joy, ambassador communicator to help people let go. If you want, get something for yourself, get a hug and say, got it. But if you have anything she wants to share with us all, a reminder, if you
Mhm.
wouldn't mind sharing something out loud as well, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I immediately see this like flickering energy. She almost feels like fairy type energy. It's very playful, a lot of pink, a lot of I don't know, just a little, I don't know how to it just like a lot of just butterfly energy. And what she's saying is that most people don't really know, they don't experience true joy. They're striving for happiness. But what I heard from her is that at our core, we are joy.
Hmm.
And that a lot of times we'll feel like, well, they can have it, but I can't. That's a lie. And what she's saying is that joy is a part of every being on this planet. And it is up to us to choose to move into that space.
Beautiful. And it's here and now. It's not even a Rubik's Cube. You don't have to take 15 steps moving that little cube around to try to get all the colors to
Mhm.
match. You just have to let go of what details. Again, Terry's well versed in helping people let go and get back on path, on track. Here's Audrey Hepburn. This photograph, people can we all know a static photograph cannot move. Absolutely. Except there are no limits in life. Where are you going to put yourself? Here, up here. So let this photo wink, smile, nod. Audrey's an angel. If you want to catch a smell, ocean, undiscovered yet amazing perfume or flowers, ask her to bring you flowers. And Terry, get the whole enchilada from her. A little reminder, a squeeze if you want a small. She's got that slender hand. Have it go on the small of your back and catch lots of light coming through you. Receive what you can receive. Anybody watching, allow for what you can allow for. And Terry, are you smelling anything in the air? Are you getting a gorgeous vibe?
I get this kind of fun, like, oh, darling, none of this matters. Just enjoy the ride. I mean, it's almost like this kind of, I don't know how to explain it. This kind of, it's not sultry, but there's this wisdom and this, like, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Like, look at her face. Her face is like, are you getting it? Are you getting it?
And
None of this matters.
did the photo move at all for you? A little wink, a smile, the eyebrow one?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. And she's a little sparkle in the moment and some grace for sure. There's an angel named Grace. So they're in the same cabal, probably the wrong word for angels, but there's different groupings of angels. There's a faith, a hope, a grace, a harmony, a joy. You get the pattern there. Okay, Native American chief, dull knife, wisdom, unconditional love, wisdom with some humor. I always say like a mountain range, great for helping you to breathe more. And that's dull knife. I believe Cheyenne, I'm so bad. I'm sorry to not have it down exactly.
Mm. What I feel from him is I felt like he put his hand on my heart, and it's almost like um, there's an expansion that's happening right now, what I'm feeling from him. And that, let me just receive this for a minute, because it is quite intense, the energy that I'm feeling from him, almost to the point where it makes me feel emotional. And it feels familiar to me, is what I'm experiencing right now, is that this energy is familiar. I do know I have a Native American past lives, several of them, and it feels familiar. It feels like that earth, that sacredness. Um, that's what I feel from him. It's a reminder.
And he can bring you, nothing has to be lit like we just did with the sage, but he could bring you sage, tobacco, sweetgrass, juniper, desert piñol, pine, cedar. Catch a smell in the air. There's like 50 of those. Nobody has to light anything. You can just ask for a pleasant reminder to kind of Calgon, take me away or bring me home, as they say, for the heart.
I smell the earth.
Yay. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna put up red shirt. He's the gentlest mom in the world, least manly description. Did I say that right? The right way? Not a manly description, but who cares? He's super soft and sweet and gentle, and just anybody who's gone through trials, tribulations, lost their job, a divorce, health crisis. Um, Lakota Sioux.
I can't
He's
see his face. There's his
Yeah,
face.
and he's wearing a U.S. presidential medal. I think the day after the photo was taken, he and Geronimo were on Pennsylvania Ave on horseback parade outside the White House. Teddy Roosevelt.
And what is his name again?
Red
What was
shirt,
it?
super soft spoken. He's compassion, compassion, compassion.
So what I get from him is he sits down in front of me on the floor, and he invites me to sit with him. And what I get is almost like looking into his eyes and feeling his heart expanding into my heart, is the way it feels. It feels like this connectedness of where we're looking here, as my little 5-year-old was going the other night like this. We're connecting there. And in that connection, it's almost like a telepathic type of messaging that is saying, expand, 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 because this is what you deserve.
And what's one reminder from him through you to everyone just to keep in mind or to remember or to not worry too much about?
What do you want them to know? Believe. Believe that you are capable of having this kind of connection.
Ooh, nice. And then I'll do older Geronimo, and that'll wrap it up. Unless you have a request for a figure of some sort.
I have
my
to tell you though, Michael, when you're
Yeah.
doing this, the energy that I'm feeling going through my body is so beautiful. It is like this melting that is happening. Even more, I told you before we started, I was like, I've had crazy 10 days, but I was feeling good because I'd been meditating already. But the energy of their presence, and these are guides that I don't even work with, but to feel their presence and to feel that connection, I feel my body, it's like it's melting, which is beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, in a good way. Not like the Wizard of Oz.
No, no, I'm melting. No, I'm not
Exactly.
melting that way.
Well, I'll put up Michael in two different ways in just a second. But last one for the Native American chief, Geronimo older. Everyone put your seatbelt on. He's love, 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 but he's action, 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 dry wit. This is Geronimo, and he's been
Mm.
around the block. He's a little more slang, yeah, nah, duh. You already know the answer. Just do it. The other two were formal and proper, yes, no.
He feels to me like a grandfather figure. He feels to me Like when what I experience with him is him taking his hands on either side of my face and kissing, like here and on my forehead, and saying, like, you can do this. And it's just like a words of support.
Beautiful, very beautiful. Uh, Michael is solo in this one. But here's four archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. If anybody wants to put their hand out to the photos through two screens, feel what you can feel in your palms. If you resist it, feel sparkle on your toes. Just say, "Sock it to me, angels, out of my head into my heart. Make this nice. Amen, rock and roll. Thank you. Om Sai Ram if you're in India. Allow for what you can allow for. Get out of your own way. Let them do their jobs. Receive all with a capital A. Love, 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 love." Ben Stiller. The point of this is, you know, receive it the way you're going to allow yourself to receive it. I think that's a kind of cool message. Terri, take it over from here. What do you got for us?
Well, I see a lot of humor with these angels. And they're like they're doing a little disco move like the not the disco, but like the Temptations. They're having that's what I see, okay? Now, I mean, I have a funny relationship with Michael and these other ones. I've worked with Gabriel some, but it's the message that I get is that life doesn't have to be hard. It can be a dance.
Hmm.
It can be when we say yes to this connection, we can dance with these angels and guides, and that we have the ability to do this if we believe, and not just believing, but we have to get to the place of cleaning out the emotional chaos so that we can receive.
Yeah, I love this. And you're reminding me of an author that's up here somewhere. I think right there, Dancing Healers, Karl Hammerschlag. Now it's the late Karl Hammerschlag. He's on the big escalator. But he did a beautiful, he was a Yale doctor, graduated as a doctor, thought he knew everything there was about medicine and therefore healing and life. And that's it. He's, tops. But he was at the back when the Bureau of Indian Affairs existed. If I can get all my lingo down, he was at a hospital and a reservation, and later became a psychologist on top of everything else. Medicine Man took him under his wings, and he wrote a beautiful book, Dancing Healers, that goes right to what you just said, which is, when you get to hear, when you strip away the details, when you allow yourself to live, breathe, be vulnerable. It's scary. Breathe, smile. You get those dancing shoes on, and there's some waltz with your ancestors, your life,
Mhm.
love. The fabric of the universe is love. That something magical happens or wonderful or Disney-esque happens. Can you give us a final, we'll get into some of what you offer on the website next, but can you give us the grand sweeping arm gesture, the vision of how we can live more, allow more, love more, and experience more walking a smoother path again? How simple
When
is it?
you It's as simple as saying, I'm choosing love. And in every step, that's why my community is called Women Leaders of Love. That choosing love means I'm moving into alignment.
Hmm.
For me, it's putting God first. I honor God when I honor the way I was created. And by choosing love in every moment, and that being my purpose, that is my purpose on this planet, is to be an expression of love. I'm going to have moments that I'm not. I'm human. But part of the expression of love is choosing to embrace those mistakes and that humanness, and instead of pushing it away, embracing it and loving it and saying, I chose to be here. I chose to be here, and to bring to me heaven here on earth is by choosing love, loving myself, standing in my truth, and creating that connection here and creating that connection to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. That is the path. That is the big picture. I believe that's why we're here.
Okay, so for www.terri, Terri, Britt, Britt.com, it'll be in the fine print below the video. How can a person engage you or check out what your offerings are? Is it the website? Is it going to your books? Is it online, elsewhere? Talk to us just about like two or three of the ways they can kind of tiptoe in and check you out.
Sure. Well, I love for people to take my worthiness quotient quiz because I told you about your worthiness quotient is how open are you to receiving? Are you tapping into your intuition? Are you receiving the love that you deserve? And it's a quiz that really makes you get in touch with your feelings, looking at different aspects of your life, whether it's money, relationships, miracles, passion, whatever. And then you get this personalized report. It's so cool because it's going to give you some steps on how to start really raising your worthiness, which is what we've talked about here, getting out of the emotional chaos, getting into your intuition, and really feeling connected so that you're open and receptive to get this guidance, to get this love, so that you can be more love. So that's Terri Britt, terribritt.com/quiz. That's just the worthiness quotient quiz. Um, my community, my biggest community that interacts on social media is in Facebook. So if you go to Terri Britt on Facebook, you'll see me, or you can put Women Leaders of Love, and it should invite you into the private community. Here is where every Wednesday we do Own Your Worth Wednesdays. It's a live broadcast where I'm actually doing healings. I'm doing free coaching. It's like a whole 1 hour broadcast where women come in and we start with a little grounding meditation. And I'm like, okay, who's got a question? And people raise their hands and you may not even ask anything, but it's a wonderful way for you to, to, um, to get healing. So I love that. That's my Own Your Worth Wednesdays. It's every Wednesday.
Unless there's a once every 2 year weather event.
Yes.
I saw there was a weather event on there, one of those, and you were like, not this week, but normally it's been going on a long time, and you
Well,
do.
yes, it's every Tuesday and or every Wednesday. And what happened this week when we taped it, I had been in Florida taking care of my grandkids while my kids opened up their coffee house. And I was supposed to drive home on Tuesday. Well, this weird storm came through. Trees were down everywhere. I mean, they even gave it a name, a January. I mean, I know we're taping, I don't know when you're airing this, but it was in January. We don't name storms in January. Bizarre. So I'm like, I'm not driving. I'm just going to
Yeah.
stay here. And it turns out they needed me another day anyway. So yes, we did cancel, but I try to do it every single Wednesday, and it's a way for us to connect. Now, what's interesting, you can watch it on Facebook or you can get it on Zoom. So if you go take my quiz, you'll be added to the Zoom list, so you'll get the email with the link every week. Another thing I would love to give people right now is I talked about creating that connection, and grounding would be the number one thing. I have a beautiful guided meditation called Grounding in God's Light. I would love to give that to your viewers and listeners because it's like 28 minutes. It is where you are going to get so connected and feel so receptive and so loved that you can really start getting out of that emotional chaos and allowing the intuition to take over, allowing yourself to connect to your guides. And that's just terribritt.com/grounding, just GROUNDING.
I love it. Okay, two quick, not zany, but just two quick extracurricular, whatever I'm trying to say, extra steps here. No photos of angels or anything, or historical photos, but a regular Bic lighter. So I'm going to flick this thing like we're at a concert. If you're at home, say what color you see, a white, yellow, gold, pick a color.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Now, if you don't mind, ask your angels and guides and loved ones who are hanging out with you 24/7. You're not getting judged. You have plenty of privacy. Just let it be. Don't start thinking about it. Just breathe extra. Ask them to come in and make a little extra light on the light. Whoever your favorite was, Audrey Hepburn, Michael, the universe. Just if you're not comfortable with saying angels yet, just be like, loving universe. Hey, add some extra sparkles. Terri, are you ready? If I flick this on again, get a little extra sparkle, pizzazz, and extra color that we know isn't the Bic lighter. What are you getting?
I'm getting some purple.
Yay. And then one more, if it's okay. Highest intent, none of my thinking, none of my stress, fear, worries, rejection, whatever I'm trying to say. Up top, my inner child, he's happy, content, allowing. But I'm going to put my hand up. If you want to put your hand up, again, only love, and we're shepherded here by angels. Feel what you can feel for vibration. And
For
got it?
you? For
Yeah,
you?
us connecting. Just you don't have to
Okay.
say it out loud, but we're connected. Just love.
Mhm.
And then with your permission, I'm going to whoosh you some rainbow light. Blame angels instead. Don't look at me, but I'm going to do the whooshing. So see if you can feel. I'll do it 3 times. I'll go little, and then a little bigger. See if you can catch a little rainbow light your way. Did you get that?
Mm-hmm. I
Okay.
did.
I'm going to do one more. And at home, just feel what you can feel. If you have to close your eyes, do it. No one's catching you since you're the ones watching this. You got your own privacy at home. One more time. And oh, got that? A little more vibration.
I went in my first chakra.
Good. And I felt heat on that one, like, not bad heat, but just heat. I was like, whoa. I mean, I'm feeling it. Okay,
Mhm.
one more and go big, but now make a request on this. Anybody at home, feel what you can feel. Ooh. And you got that as well. Thank you for doing that. Do you have any words you would want to share about whatever that was? Can you put words to it to describe what just happened? Because I don't even have words. Just we were sharing energy. It was loving, is the best I could do. Do you have a better way, more mature way to say it? Since you are definitely good with your words.
Well, my words may go a little bit X-rated right now because when that second one came through, it went through my first chakra. It was like, woo!
Oh, okay, okay. I got it. I got it. I can follow on
Like,
that one.
wake
Okay.
up.
Got it. Well, hey, remember, do you mind taking 10 seconds to talk about the Hindu chakras, the chakras? We have different energy combos, fields, it's light. Can you just the 20-second thing about what the chakras are and how, sometimes we get stuck or blocked, how to
Mhm.
flow more? And it's kind of tied into what we were talking about, seeing auras and so on. Can you take just 20 seconds on that? We can, if you come back one day, we'll have you cover that more.
Sure. The way I see chakras, and there are different ones. I mean, the way I was trained, like some people see the chakra on the base at the bottom of the spine going straight down. The way I was trained, it goes front and back. And so when I'm clearing chakras, I go in and I clear them, or I use roses and visualize them as vacuum cleaners pulling energy out. So they're energy portals.
Hmm.
And for me, when I'm just looking at someone's chakra, a lot of times if I see darkness, I'll know that there's a clearing that's needed. So I'll clear the energy field, and then I'll go in behind the darkness and see what needs to come out. Sometimes it's something magical. Sometimes it's a box and you open it up and there's light and there's some message there. So the chakras hold energy, they can hold messages. They are connected to the layers of your aura. So we have 7 main layers of our aura. Now, the way I was trained is so that we have 49, that each layer has another 7 layers. I don't even worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, again, I work the way I work, and it's like, okay, so what do I need to see? Is there something, blocking here? I always check the chakras, but I also check just to see, what's going on in the energy field, what's going on in the body. I'm not a medical intuitive in any way, but it's just looking at these chakras that going from the base of the spine and all the way up. And then I see that we have creative rings here, one here about 2 feet up, and then another creative ring about probably 12 to 15 feet up. And I always clear those because that gets me a clearer reading as well.
And you can also tell where someone's like letting it fly. They're actually doing a good job and being how they should be. You can tell that as well. I mean, these are the compliments you probably give people when you're not
Absolutely.
adjusting things and helping them understand more,
Absolutely.
yeah, how to stay open.
Absolutely.
Well, Terri, this is fantastic. Do you have a last reminder or message for us? And I'll buy you time because I'll just do a quote. I've got this old book of quotes. I started writing quotes down like 20 years ago. And I will just pull this one out about healers. One of the most powerful things a healer can do for someone as a healing presence is simply believe. And I like that quote a lot, just to simply
Mm.
believe. So to hold the space, to believe, to allow for that person to get the experiences they need, to get that space they need to have things shift around so they can get going, living again more fully. Okay, Terri, talk to us one more time. The big picture. What's it all about again? Here, we're all humans doing the life thing.
I
What do we
believe
need
we're
to
all
know?
divine. And I used to believe that we were just a body with the soul in it. And then I had an aha. I was like, no, my body is just a very small part of my soul, and that we are divine. And so I would like to leave this little mantra, and because I believe it's helped me so much. I'm divine light, I'm divine love, I'm divine wisdom, I'm divine creativity, I'm divine joy, I'm divine health, I'm divine prosperity. I am divine. And if we can take that in and say, I am a part of this. I am this beautiful, amazing spirit who's simply having this experience in my humanity, to embrace my humanity, to not push it away, to not judge it, but to love it like a child. then as we come with that compassion and love, then we really merge our divinity in and our humanity. So that's what I would encourage everyone to pay attention to.
Beautiful. Terri Britt, thank you very much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. It was a treat to have you on.
It was so much fun. Thank you. What a fun trip. My goodness.
Well, thank you again. Happy 2024, everybody. And thanks for tuning into the show. Be sure to comment. What part of this did you like most? Share this with some other people. Get it out in front of them. There's so many amazing guests from 2023, 2024. And also like, and of course, subscribe. This is Michael Andre Ford, your American Angel Intuitive, Angels, Positivity, and Love. Another amazing guest with amazing insights on a very fun show. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Terri.
Thank you.